Robert Bell. Graduated from the University of North Texas with a degree in film. He joined the U.S. Army, spent 2 years in Iraq. And after service, he returned to the University of North Texas to pursue another degree in business administration. He's going to talk today about indefinite detention and the specifics in terms of how that relates to Bradley Manning, who we know is being detained for, I don't know how long, indefinitely.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Fine. Please forgive me while I adjust this. Thank you. Just a second. Okay. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Okay. My purpose tonight is to just provide a small example of what Grant just spoke about, Private Manning, and I would like to begin with a brief definition. Indefinite detention is the incarceration of an arrested person by a national government or law enforcement agency without a trial. It is a practice on the part of any government or agency that is in violation of many national and international laws, including human rights violations. In recent years, governments have indefinitely held those suspects to be involved in terrorism, declaring them as enemy combatants. In the United States, no one personifies this idea more than PFC Bradley Manning. Bradley Manning, a 24-year-old Army intelligence analyst, is accused of releasing the collateral murder video that shows the killing of unarmed civilians and 2 Reuters journalists by a U.S. Apache helicopter crew in Iraq. He is also accused of sharing the Afghan war diary, the Iraq war logs, and a series of embarrassing U.S. diplomatic cables. These documents were published by the anti-secrecy website WikiLeaks. They have illuminated such issues such as the true number and cause of civilian casualties in Iraq, along with the number of human rights abuses by U.S.-funded contractors and foreign militaries, and the role that spying and bribes play in international diplomacy. Given the war crimes exposed, if PFC Bradley Manning was the source of these documents, he should be recognized as someone who should be celebrated for his courage in the face of unimaginable fear and consequences. Instead, he is considered a terrorist that has been summarily removed from the national discourse. Just one day after Judge Denise Lynn awarded PFC Bradley Manning nearly 4 months credit towards a potential sentence from March 6 to June 3, 2013. By then, Bradley will have been in prison awaiting trial for more than 3 full years. His defense has argued a motion to dismiss charges for lack of a speedy trial. However, even with the violation of this most basic right, the motion will be rendered useless when your accuser has the right to review vital information and determine if it's needed to be redacted, summarized, or substitute classified portions. Or alternatively, decide if it will need to close the courtroom entirely from the press and public in order for that information to be litigated. Since the summer of 2010, PFC Manning has been held in military custody, and sadly, this is one of the many reasons we have gathered here tonight. This real act of indefinite detention against Manning has accounted for 9 months at Quantico that nearly killed the soldier. When asked to explain in court this week why 9 months of maximum custody was necessary, his jailers gave answers varying, akin to what would be expected for such handling. He could have harmed himself. He could have been harmed by others. He wasn't mentally sound. Upon a cross-examination, though, other information was unearthed revealing that the conditions could easily be viewed as pure punishment and not impartial precautions. This reinforces the notion that while innocent until proven guilty is the norm for civilians, Manning has not been awarded that luxury of a democratic society. As a result, public support along with professional civilian organizations have called to dismiss all charges with prejudice due to alleged illegal pretrial punishment that PFC Manning has been subjected to in violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the 5th and 8th Amendments to the United States Constitution. As a former military intelligence soldier, I was commissioned with the duty to serve on the side of honor and integrity. Unfortunately, for far too long, our leaders have abandoned such lofty ideas. For decades, they have turned a blind eye to the very laws that PFC Bradley Manning volunteered to represent in the only way he knew how. Instead, our Congress and executive have settled for much less than anyone in this room should and will stand for. Just last week, President Obama took full ownership of the warrantless wiretap policies initiated by his predecessor. However, this week, there is zero discussion of his record on indefinite detention, rendition, presidential pardons, and more. With more than 800 days behind bars, Bradley Manning has become the living definition of indefinite detention in the United States. Sadly, no one knows when this sacrifice will finally end. Thank you.